This is the I Love Success podcast. I'm Peter Jumrukovsky, and I have made a vow to myself to help as many people as possible to achieve their dreams. Let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to the I Love Success podcast. I am super excited to be here. As you all know, I have a big fat mission, and that is to help at least 10 million people to go after their dreams. That being said, right now, if you're here watching and listening, you are now the most important person to me. If you can take one item with you today to improve your life, become a little bit happier, find your own success, that would make me grateful. If I can help in any way, please reach out to me. You know where to find me. It's super easy. You just type in Peter Jumrukovsky, which everybody can spell too, I'm 100% sure. Otherwise, Google will help you and you can reach out to me. That being said, we have a very special guest here today. His name is Jake, Body by Jake Steinfeld. And he's a complete fitness innovator. He's changed the game before there even was a game. He started Body by Jake Incorporated in the 80s to the benefits of healthy living and the motivation to actually get there. He's done so much more. He's sold companies to big networks. He's been the torchbearer for the Olympics in 2012, which is really awesome. He's also been the honorary mayor of Pacific Palisades, and no one else than the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, chose him to serve as chairman for California's Council on Physical Fitness. So without further ado, let me welcome Jake, Body by Jake Steinfeld.
What's up, Pete? How you doing? I like the intro, brother. I like the intro.
You know, great men deserve a great intro, right?
You're a smooth talker. You're a smooth talker. I could just sit back and you just keep going, talking about me. Yeah. You know, I've always said this. It's always better when someone else is saying nice things about you as opposed to you having to say nice things about yourself.
I totally agree. And you still have the talk, the vibe, the New York, New Jersey vibe. Like, can we just talk about that? You've been in LA for 42 years. Like, is the East Coast always sticking with you?
Always, man. I was born and raised. I was an overweight kid. I had a bad stutter growing up. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in Baldwin, Strong Island. I know you have a lot of fans and friends and listeners and followers who are East Coasters, man. A lot of Long Island, we call it Strong Island people. But I just want to say before we get started, man, I love the intro that you had about wanting to get 10 million people, thinking about success, thinking about taking a shot in their life. This is what I talk about all the time. Fitness is a huge part of my life. It is my life, but everybody's blessed with a superpower. And I think you know this, Pete. The bottom line is everybody, you, myself, everybody who's listening right now is a brand. And you need to treat yourself as think of the most favorite brand that you love, right? And you care about most. Well, before anybody buys anything from you, or you do anything in your life, whatever it is, a doctor, lawyer, entrepreneur, whatever it is, people have to buy you. And if they don't buy you first, no matter what it is you're selling, you're never going to succeed. And that's why I talk so much about, personality and who you are as a brand. That makes up the essence of who you are. And once you have that, faith and belief in yourself, when you can look in that mirror and like who you are, wow, you can achieve anything you want in your life.
Yeah, Jake, but let's go back to that young, overweight kid who didn't have none of that. Like, can you just talk about, like, what was the first little inspiration you got to kind of change? Because I know I was overweight, and I went from being overweight and fat with no confidence to 20 years later becoming a world medalist. So I did a long journey, but I'm curious, like, in your personal life, like, what happened? How did you become overweight? And what was that tipping point that made you like, hey, I need to change?
Well, how I became overweight, because I love Twinkies, so that's what happens, but having a bad stutter growing up, a very debilitating things, and what you have to understand too. So as a kid, thankfully, had a mom and dad who loved me very much. And, when I was in third, fourth, fifth grade, if a lot of people cut back to those days of sitting in class and a teacher standing in front of the class and saying, okay, today we're going to read out loud. We're going to open our books and we're each going to take a paragraph and we're going to read out loud. And that, to me, Pete, you know what? If someone said to me, Jake, you have a choice to jump off the Empire State Building or take a paragraph and read out loud, I would take the shot and jump off the Empire State Building. Because it wasn't that I didn't know how to read. It's just when you have a stutter, it's debilitating, man. And the air is, so when you speak, you learn, and I've taught myself how to speak from my diaphragm, as opposed to when you get nervous and tight, you speak from your throat. Now, as I said, I could read, but the letter B and D and T and W, almost an S, it's but. And the more nervous you got, the worse it sounded. And your friends would laugh, and I would try to memorize a paragraph. There was a debilitating moment in my life, and I remember the principal calling my parents and wanting my parents to put me into one of those special classes, that thinking, there's something wrong with your son. And my parents were great. They said, no, he's going to stay in the mainstream, make in the population. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I fought through it. I learned. I was 13 years old. I'm a big believer in life's about moments, Pete. And everybody has moments in their lives. You have overcome a lot of adversity. A lot of the people that you talk to overcome a lot of adversity. And we learn as we go on in life that failing, you must fail. You have to fail. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. And people also need to understand failing isn't death. Death is death. When the show's over, director yells cut, the show is over. But when you fail, it means you're taking shots. It's about how you get back up. So here I am at 13 years old. And as I said, life is about moments. A lot of people, we have a lot of great moments, a lot of challenging moments. We all remember them, and how do you deal with them? Makes us who we are. My dad calls me out into the backyard. It's the summertime in Baldwin, Long Island. He has a weight set, dumbbells, a barbell on a little bench set up. And he calls me out into the backyard. I'm the oldest son, oldest of 4 kids. And he says, come on, let's do some bench pressing, Jake. And I look down at my Twinkies. And I said, this is not really for me, Dad. And he was a guy that would ask you to do something once, and that was it. For the rest of the summer, I never touched the weights. They just sat there. By the time the fall came around, I was also the oldest East Coast guy. A lot of you East Coast fans know, where do you live? You live in the basement, right? That's where my bedroom was. So I'm going to cut back. I'm 62 years old now, right? So this was the early 70s. So in my bedroom, you could kind of visualize this, right? I had a black light, and my black light posters with little stars on the ceiling painted with black light paint. So it looked very cool. I had Jimi Hendrix, a poster of him on one wall. I had Alice Cooper, a poster of him on the other wall. I also loved to listen to Frank Sinatra's I Did It My Way. And at the end of Frank's album, true story, there's this wild applause for Frank Sinatra. And when I would feel down, I would just play those 10 seconds of wild applause of people cheering. And I would just visualize of where I would go and they were cheering for me. So here I was this one night doing my social studies homework, and my dad had asked me, bring the weights inside. I put it in the laundry room, right? Which was literally off of my bedroom door. And I must have stared into that laundry room 1,000 times, if not 2,000 times. And I'm doing social studies homework this one night. I was never really a great student. My mind is wandering. And I looked across and I saw this barbell. And for whatever the reason was that night, I got up, I picked up the barbell, I walked it back into my bedroom. I put it on top of this ottoman. I took this little skinny mirror behind my bedroom door and put it on top of the ottoman. I queued up the 10 seconds of wild applause for Frank Sinatra. I put on my headset, right, to listen to the album, to listen to the music, listen to the applause. I grabbed the weights. So, by the way, I had this tank top on with my stomach hanging over my underpants. And I started doing my bicep curls in front of 50,000 screaming fans at Madison Square Garden. I would visualize that from the applause. And I'm telling you something, Peter, the weights and me just got together, man. I mean, the weight started to build not just my body, but my confidence and my self-esteem. And now I'm standing up a little bit straighter. You know, girls start to recognize you. I'm making more friends. I'm feeling good about myself. And I have this dream. I'm going to go to California to become Mr. America. That was it. I mean, like overnight, I said, this is what I'm going to do. Well, there was a number of years in between, you know, and I graduated high school. I went to college upstate New York. You know Cornell University, Pete?
Yep.
Yeah, you do, right. I went to Cortland down the street.
Yeah.
So where people know East Coast people, it snows from the second you get to college till almost the time you leave college. So for me, it wasn't too conducive to walk around in your gold lame posing trunks in 18 inches of snow. So I'm at college for 3 months. And like I said, it just wasn't for me. And I'm, as I said, the oldest, the first one in my entire family. Mom and dad never went to college. Their families never went to college. This was a big deal in my family. Every day, I'm just dreaming about California. As I sit upstate New York, it's snowing. I'm thinking about Gold's Gym, all the big bodybuilders, right? The movie Pumpin' Iron had just come out, and I was just visualizing myself being there, you know, like I said, when all the dinosaurs still roam the earth, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, and all these guys. I had their pictures. I cut them out from my muscle magazines on the wall. And all of a sudden, my mom used to call every day. 2 times a day. She would call to check in on me. Yeah, you know, how's Palisades? How's your English class? And this one day, I finally got up enough courage. And you talk a lot about this too with a lot of your people about having dreams. You know, you have to have a dream. You have to have passion. You have a dream, man. That's what makes life beautiful. And this dream of mine was to go to California to become Mr. America. Well, I finally took a breath and I told my mom, I said, Ma, I'm going to go to California to become a bodybuilder. I want to become Mr. America. Silence on the phone. Peter. And all of a sudden I heard, Herbie, my dad's name, pick up the phone and talk to your kid. I'm putting my head in the oven. And it was one of those moments where I finally said what my dream was, man. I finally said it. Like this weight lifted off of my shoulders. I felt like $1 million. That bus ride from upstate New York all the way back to Baldwin, Strong Island. It felt like I was going from New York to Australia. It felt so long. I get home and I have this conversation with my parents, and they both were supportive, not overly, but get it out of your system, take some time off, but you can come back home, and you know, you'll get back to your life. My friends, I had a girlfriend who said, you'll never make it. My friends all said, what are you thinking about? You were a fat guy. You're not going to become Mr. America. And I thought about this. Obviously, later in life, you think about these things too. And Pete, you know, you would probably agree. I know you would. But sometimes when you express your dream or what your passions are, sometimes it's the people closest to you who seem to be the most negative. And it's for a couple of reasons, I think. One, they don't want to see you get hurt, right? They don't want to see you get hurt or upset, or in their mind, they're thinking, what's wrong with this kid? Look what he looks like. He's not going to become Mr. America. We better get him a doctor's appointment before we let him go anywhere, you know? But then on the other side, there are other people like your friends and girlfriends and people like that who they don't want to see you succeed, because there are people out there in this world, believe it or not, Pete, who believe that if Pete is successful, that means I can't be successful because there's not enough success to go around. And when you think about that, and I know you know this, man, oh man, there's plenty of success to go around. You always want to hang around with successful people, positive people, because that just makes you more excited, enthusiastic about what can be. And that's when I knew, and that moment, I made the trek from Baldwin, Long Island to LA, summer 1977. And I came out here. I didn't know a soul, brother. I didn't know anybody. I was driving. Some friends of my parents said, oh, he should live in Northridge, which is in the valley.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful there. So I found an apartment. My dad gave me enough money to lease a 1977 white Camaro. I had white with Jake 77 on the license plate. Always kept a very low profile. Very important. Entrepreneurs should know this. Low profile. And I used to drive literally from Northridge all the way over the hill. You know, you live in the marina now. So I drove over the hill, over the 405 to get to the 10 freeway. So I get to Venice, which was Gold's Gym. And then I started to work out at World Gym, right? Which was on the second floor of Main Street, summer 1977. I walk into the gym the first time, and there, like I said, the dinosaurs still roam the earth. There was Arnold and Lou Ferrigno. Pumping Iron came to life. The magazines came to life. It was unbelievable. And I said, okay, I entered the Mr. Southern California contest because I read all the muscle magazines, Pete. Everybody said, eat 18 eggs and 24 chickens a day, and you too could become Mr. America. Well, I'm here to report that I clucked a lot, but I never became Mr. America. And here was a simple reason. I never took steroids. And nobody mentioned the word steroids in those magazines. And for me, it was another moment where it was like, now I have 4 kids. I'll be married 32 years, a terrific wife, a girl and 3 boys who are just awesome. My life is about them and family. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I talked to my kids when they were little, especially about decisions. And there are some times, and you know this, Pete, if you have to think about something too long, it's probably something you shouldn't be doing. And here I was at 18 years old, almost 19. I left New York. I left college. I left my family. I left my friends. I left a girlfriend to pursue this dream. And here I was. I came in second place in Mr. Southern California. The guy that beat me was on steroids. And I'm afraid to take steroids. That's it, the bottom line. I mean, back to 4th and 5th grade, I don't know where you grew up, but you know, the nurse would do these TB tests, tuberculosis tests, where they give you that 4-prong, they hit you with the 4-prong thing. Well, it was a little boop. I'd faint. I'd go out like a light. I mean, they had to carry me away. Do you think if I did that I could put a needle in my own buttissimo? You're out of your mind. And that's truly the reason why I never took steroids, is I was petrified to. But I had to make a decision. Here I was, 19 years old. Like I said, life is about moments. I loved what working out did for me. I got big, I got strong, I had confidence. I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I wasn't going to be a professional bodybuilder because you had to take steroids. But I love working out. But I decided to stay. And it was one of those moments in my life where I made that commitment to myself and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to make money, but I love it here. And I love what working out does for me. And I love how I feel. And right place, right time, right moment, brother. I'm sitting at an apartment complex. I was living in Studio City, California. And well, what every good musclehead does, right? I was catching rays and I was bouncing in a bar at night and working out in the morning. I was living the dream, man. You know, I was living the dream.
That's it, baby.
And this gal comes over to me, who I've seen around the, she was around the pool a bunch, and she comes over, introduces herself. She says, "Hey, I'm Sandy. I've seen you here a lot, Jake. I had this Club Med commercial I have to do. I've got 6 weeks to get in shape. I'm just kind of wondering if you can help me. because I like you, but I don't want to look like you. Now, this was 1979. Now we're cut up a couple of years. So it's 1979. And this is just when Jane Fonda had just hit the fitness scene with the high impact aerobics. At that time, women were very intimidated by using weights, and because they thought they were going to get big muscles. So I'm just talking to this girl, right? And she looked pretty fantastic. But I already assessed in my mind, she needed the confidence to stand in front of a bunch of people on a camera in a bikini.
Yeah.
So she said, "Could you help me out?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure I could help you out." She said, "Well, how much is it going to cost?" I go, "I don't know. Give me gas money for my 1977 white Camaro with Jake 77 on the license plate." And I started talking to her about coming up with a workout. And I'm thinking in my mind, what should I do? So I came up with this idea. She said, "Could you come to my boyfriend's house and do the workout there?" And I said, "Sure." Gave me an address in Beverly Hills. I came up with this 30-minute workout. Listen, I love the gym. I love working out. I don't like hanging around the gym. So I like to go in, get my workout in, and be out. I wanted to do the same thing with this woman. That I thought she has an A-type personality. Listen, bottom line, exercise is boring. If it wasn't boring, everybody would be in great shape, and I'd still be bouncing in that bar in Van Nuys. Yeah, and that's really it. So you have to make it fun and interesting because every body is very different, and what works for you, Pete, doesn't necessarily work for me, or work for my wife, or your mom, or your dad. So you have to find what works for you and embrace it and make it a part of your lifestyle. That was my mission, right? And I figured I could figure something out. So I improvised with a broomstick for twists, right? 2 cans of Mama's tomato paste, right? Used to do your bicep curls, a towel for resistance training, right? So I pull down on the towel and you pull up. If I were to hand you or your wife 2 10-pound, 20-pound dumbbells, right? You immediately think, "Oh, I don't want to get big arms." But if I took the towel and said, "Pete, grab this, I'm going to pull down, you pull up, let's do some reps." I could do that. Resistance training. And I came up and used a chair for push-ups and dips, worked it all together into a fun 30-minute workout. Really simple, right? Went to her boyfriend's house, Beverly Hills, knocked on the door. If you weren't on the cover of Musclehead Digest, I didn't know who you were. Guy answers the door, turns out to be Francis Ford Coppola. And I just looked at him and I thought, hey, this guy could use a workout too. And they started going to parties, and it was really amazing. People started saying, "You look great. What are you doing?" This guy, Jake, comes to our house. He's got a broomstick, a towel, and a chair. It's a 30-minute workout. It's really fun. He's pretty funny. He eats too much. They had a great refrigerator, Peter. A great refrigerator, because I had no dough at the time, and when the workout was over, I opened the fridge. It was like, wow, this was like heaven. And the other thing was this: when people started saying to them, "What a great idea this is! What's his phone number?" Pete, I went from upstate New York to LA. Back in the day, there were no cell phones, right? So you had to list your phone number. And one thing about Hollywood is if you're good and people want to get a hold of you and they seem to want you more, it became this mystique of, who is this guy? You got to get him. Now I'm living in Studio City, and I had this little tape recorder. Back in the day, you had a little beeper. You dial your number, and then you'd play you have a little beeper, and it would go, whoo, and then the tape recorder would rewind, and you'd hear messages. And I'm in my little one-room apartment. I'm getting messages from people like Steven Spielberg, Harrison Ford, Priscilla Presley, Bette Midler, Warren Beatty, Barbra Streisand. You name it. Steve Ross, who put Time and Warner together, the heads of all the studios, the heads of all the talent agencies. I'm traveling around the world. It was amazing what happened. And I bring all these names up to really make a point. Once again, grounded in who I am and who I was and who I always will be, right? This kid from New York, always the same. Now I'm hanging out with all these people, and I learned this amazing lesson. They're just like us. The only difference is they had a dream and never quit on their dream and never took no for an answer. And you know what, Pete? That gave me all the incentive in the world to say to myself, wait a second. I might never direct ET2, but I'm going to have my own success in life. And once that started to happen, guys like Steven Spielberg became like my big brother. I trained Harrison for Indiana Jones, The Temple of Doom, and a number of films after that. And I learned about business. I learned about life from hanging with these people, the great and the not so great. And it was the best college you could have ever have gone to. But the one thing I understood was, wait a second, they're just like me. I mean, okay, Harrison's, Spielberg, who I call Wheels is Wheels, and I am who I am. I'm going to have my own success and rock and roll with this stuff. And then the world just opened up to me, because think about this too, right? And I know you talk about this, and a lot of your folks are challenged sometimes as entrepreneurs. And we'll talk about entrepreneurship in a little while. You have this great idea. Listen, play with me for a second, right? You have this great idea. All day you're thinking about this incredible idea, right? Before you go to bed, you write it down. I write things down. I got pads around all day long, man. I'm writing things down. Before you go to bed, you write this great idea, whether it's a business idea, a song, a product, whatever it might be. You go to bed pumped up. You wake up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, you're thinking about the 111 reasons why all of a sudden this product is not going to work. So before you walk out the door, you have stopped yourself, because you created this downward spiral as opposed to this upward spiral of how am I going to make this work, not how is this thing not going to happen. And look, I've always said it. I was the guy with the C average in school. The guys with the A average are never used to failing. They're never used to getting an F on their report card. I got a couple, but, talk my way out of to a couple of deltoids, but the idea is you have to take shots in life, man. It's about taking shots. Because if you sit there, if you look at every business venture that mostly everyone starts with, right? Once something is successful, you're going, oh, why didn't I think of that, right? I was the first guy to do personal fitness training and made it an occupation. There was no occupation before I sort of coined it, train it to the stars. I had that trademark. And we'll talk about the words don't quit, but I'll tell it to you, I wear it. It's everything who I am. And go ahead.
I mean, this is amazing. One thing that I when you're explaining your journey, there's a lot of things that goes on in my mind. And first I want to go back, because you're talking about taking shots, taking the chance. Can we just go back to, can you explain why you had the courage to take that shot in that moment? Because at that point you were still a guy with low confidence, right? How did you manage to take that leap of faith?
That's a great question, man. It's how I do everything. I just jump in the water. And I trust myself that I can at least get to the side of the pool, that I won't drown. And once you start doing that, man, great things happen, even if they're tiny things. It's things that you never thought that you could accomplish or achieve that you find yourself achieving and accomplishing. And those little, which was a very big thing, but just me getting up and speaking. I mean, I couldn't get on a telephone back in the day and order a pizza without stuttering up a storm and hanging up. I know it's hard to understand, but
how did that change?
I worked through it, man. I never saw a speech therapist or a pathologist or anything like that. I forced myself to just do it, man. Just speak. And I found that in business early on, people who don't know you, they see this bodybuilder, muscle head, with a stutter coming into an office, the level of expectation that goes way down, man. So that bar is super low. And I use that to my advantage. I mean, if you're walking in going, oh, there's a dude from MIT. He's got all this going on. He's up to the boom, bada bop, bada bop. He's got this and this. You're ready to be wowed. But when you see this guy coming in, you go, oh, so he's a bodybuilder. He's a stuttering guy. I'll take the meeting. This is going to be a short one. And I learned how to use the stutter to my benefit, meaning to slow down, take my time. And when you're able to do that, people, and now I was never a soft spoken guy, but it was, you learn tricks. And I could always listen, stutterers know each other. I used to have a click thing like that once I got stuck, if I got stuck on a word, or, I would do whatchamacallit a million times. And then you learn that I'm just going to get my head together so the words don't crash into each other like a freight train crashing into each other. I just slowed it down. And I get better and better at it. And look, it's still there. If I get tired and, the words get mangled up a bit, but I laugh and I reload, different than back when you were a kid, when everything just collapsed on you, where you had to sit down and you cried sometimes.
I mean, that's amazing how you turned something that for many could be a disadvantage into an advantage. And one thing that I love studying is mindset. And I truly believe that you get a better mindset by working out. Do you agree with that? That the
Oh my
mind gets
gosh.
stronger with the body?
Listen, let me tell you, that's been my life. And I'll tell you how I train. And this is great. And I appreciate you even bringing that up. So I have a 42-minute workout that I do. I'm a psycho with this stuff. But the workout that I do, right, old school too. So Monday and Thursday is chest and tris. Tuesday and Friday, today was back and buys. Wednesday and Saturday is shoulders and legs. And calves, I don't do anymore. Yeah, my calves never grew, so I just say no calves. Shame on you. And that's and abs every day. Always had good abs. But when I'm doing my workout, Peter, I'm also, every repetition that I do, I visualize my day. So I played through, not that you and I had met before, and not that I knew what I was going to say, because when I say I have stories, we all have our own stories of how it's going to be. Yeah. But I play through my day and what I want to see the outcome of that day become. So by the time my 42-minute workout is over, it's my sanctuary in that gym. I've been blessed to have a gym here at my home, and I've had this now for the last 30 some odd years. And it's my time, man. I go into another world. I have my television on, a sports center with no sound. I have my 70s music on, and the same 70 song, the same 70 to 70 songs, and the music goes away, and I just go into another place. And when the 42 minutes are up, man, it's everything I do is there's a rhyme and a reason for it, man, and it just sets me up for the day. Sets the table for the day, which I try to instill in my kids their own way, right? Because everybody's different. Just like with training, how do you get your head right? You can listen to lots of people and pick and choose what's going to work for you. But I agree wholeheartedly that when you're training, you're training your head too, and do it at the same time. So when you're done with the workout, not only do I work my body, I've succeeded for my entire day because I visualize success for the day.
Yeah. And let's talk about taking action, and also what you have on your shirt and behind you, don't quit. So, but I mean, taking action, I see a lot of people nowadays, there's so many podcasts just like this one, and YouTube and Instagram. There's so much great stuff, but it's so easy to get caught and just like listening to interview after interview, conversation after conversation, and then just say, tomorrow. Like, what do you want to say to the people out there now that maybe feel down on their luck? They don't have the confidence yet, but just like you, they have a big dream, And what can you say to them?
Ah, take the shot. The water's warm. The last thing you want to have happen, Peter, very simple. The last thing you want to have happen is this. You don't want to be 50 or 60 or 70 years old and look in the mirror and say to yourself, at 25, I had this incredible idea. At 30, I had this opportunity. At 40, I had this shot. At 45, at 50, think, get out of your own way. And I say it to everybody, man. Listen, I learned by the mistakes I made. I was famous by association. I parlayed that famous by association into videos and books and television shows. Ted Turner, who created cable news network, CNN, called me out of the clear blue, was my mentor. I did these fitness breaks for cable news network starting in 1981, these little 60-second vignettes that was super fun to do. And I will tell you this, it put me on the map because the 60-second vignettes ran 3 times a day here in the States, but 10 times an hour around the world. I was training Hugh Hefner, the Playboy Mansion, right? And his girlfriend. And I didn't know who Ted Turner was. I had just got a condo in 1981 in Westwood, feeling pretty good. And he saw an article, Ted Turner saw an article on me in People magazine that I trained all these big Hollywood stars. I called him back to my little machine, and I thought he wanted to work out. And he said, I want you to do a TV show for my new cable news network. And I'm thinking, oh, and now at this moment, though, Peter, all the people I was training, they were putting me in movies and television shows. I'm acting now, and I'm having the time of my life. And I said to him, geez, I don't know. I don't want to become Jake LaLanne because I wanted to be an actor, right? So I said, let me think about it. I took my drive because I had my little tour of who the people that I saw every morning. Hef was one of the guys. I went to the mansion and I brought his name up, and he says, of course I know Ted Turner. And I thought, wait a second, I have an idea. What if this guy pays me to do a commercial to promote me on his television network? I don't know what cable is because we don't have cable in Westwood, but it could be a good idea. And Hefner thought it was an interesting idea. I said, do you think I can borrow 12 playmates? And he goes, no problem. And then I asked Spielberg if I could use his backyard of his house on Broad Beach, because I was known as the Beverly Hills Train to the Stars, the Hollywood Train to the Stars. So everything was about the beach and everything. So I had 12 playmates on Broad Beach, right? 1981. Ted gave me 30 grand to shoot 200 1-minute vignettes. Now today, 60 seconds is considered long form programming, right? Right, man? So I did this, and here, a true story. I literally came up with 200 exercises that you could do with a broomstick, towel, and a chair, and 2 cans of Mama's tomato paste. And I started out with, hey, I'm Jacob Body by Jake, and here's your fitness tip of the day. Today, we're going to work the old battissimo. And I came up with names for the body parts. Abadabbas for abs, battissimo, right? Bimens, trimens, thymens. And people got hooked into it. And it was the thing that really launched me. And then I parlayed that. It's just, here's what, to answer your question, you have to have the belief in yourself. People talk about the passion and yeah, but what does success mean to you? Because someone could be listening to this right now is thinking, it ain't about dough. It's about being happy. It's about raising good kids. It's about having a great wife and a great life, live in a great neighborhood, or just be good, feel good, do good. And those are the things, those are the questions that you have to ask to yourself. And you have to have that honest moment, right? Life's about moments in the mirror. Do it naked. Look in the mirror and have a conversation. And really have a conversation with yourself of what it is you want. To me, it was the 80s, and I'm rocking and rolling. I'm loving what I'm doing. Everything that I have done and do revolves around hope and health and family and making people smile. And it's everything that I've done or tried to do. So videos and books and Ted I had a Body by Jake television show that was in first run syndication. Then I went to ESPN. I got into the infomercial business. I never had that. I mean, I never took an acting lesson. No laughing now. People think I was a good actor. Some not so good. Hey, I took the shot. You know what? What's the worst that happens to you? It doesn't work out, but at least you could say, I did it. I mean, listen, I ended up doing, I had this idea, this dream. I wanted to do a one-man show in Las Vegas, right? I do a lot of motivational speaking over the years, and I ended up doing it at the MGM Grand, the Hollywood Theater. I did a one-man show. Tom Jones, the great Tom Jones, opened up for me. One night only. The show was called No Expectations. And it was the scariest. I mean, think about this, man. Throwing yourself into the deep end. I will never forget the moment. They put you up, literally, I'm in this massive suite, piano, the whole thing, right? I'm looking outside on the LED board. It says, Jake Steinfeld, one night only, no expectations, a very funny one-man show. Pete, I'm looking at that huge billboard on the strip thinking, holy shit, my stuff is not that funny. What am I doing? You know, what am I doing this time? And I will never forget, my wife flew in. I worked myself up into a frenzy, true story. And I go, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know. I mean, I've been telling these stories for my whole life, you know, me growing up and all this stuff, some of the stories I'm sharing with you. And what I was most concerned with was, is anyone going to show up? Well, we sold it out, 735 seats. I never forget my attorney texting me and saying, people are lined up around the casino to come in. Got a standing ovation. And the best moment was that Sunday morning when I woke up and the GM of the hotel called and said, Jake, just wanting to find out, are you sure you just want to do one night? Because people are asking for tickets for Sunday night. And I said to the guy, I said, Mike, you made my life. And it's those kinds of things that you just got to have, you know, the courage is really the word, is the courage. And just continue. Listen, I was doing my show on ESPN, my fitness show, and I had this dream to create a 24-hour fitness television network, the first linear fitness television network. I did it, called Fit TV, which I ended up selling to Rupert Murdoch, and then having a dream to, you know, launch the first outdoor professional lacrosse league, which is called Major League Lacrosse. Just finished our 20th season now. And all in between, you know, about giving back. I put fitness centers in elementary and middle schools around this great country of ours, because I really believe when you give the schools the tools, it's amazing to see what happens. You know, it's, once again, not just building bodies, but confidence and self-esteem. And if everybody just did a little something nice for everybody else, I mean, wouldn't this world be a magnificent place? And it's just about that. It just, everybody can achieve whatever they want, as long as they believe that success is failure turned inside out, right? And we get to don't quit, because you mentioned it. And these words have meant, they're my life. I wear it here on my shirt. Everything about my life is don't quit. And here's how it happened. In 8th grade, I went out for my basketball team. And I was just starting to feel good about myself. I was exercising now, right? And I thought I was a really good basketball player because, you know, my mom said, honey, you're a great basketball player. and and I went out for the team, the junior high, Baldwin Junior High basketball team. I went to the gym wall, right? Because that's where the coach put the guys' names. My name wasn't there. I got cut. That was another devastating moment. Life is about moments. That was one of those. And look, we all have a lot of those moments, but it's how you get back up. What do? Do you cash it in? Do you say, screw basketball, I didn't like it anyway? Or do you say, man, I love basketball, I want to make that team next year? This friend gives me a poem called Don't Quit. I'm 14. I'm not a poet. I don't even really like school. And it's like, why do you give me this poem? And I went home and I read it, and I read it again, and I kept reading it. And from that moment, listen, I'm not a very religious person, but that poem became a Bible verse to me. And the last two lines of the poem are, stick to the fight when your hardest hit. It's when things seem worst that you must not quit. And I recited that poem every day when things weren't going well, when things were going well. I do it. I have it. Hang on a second. I'm going to show this to you. This is right on my desk. This is the original. I mean, you can't look at the back. This was given to me in 1972. You can't even see "Don't Quit" anymore,
Yeah.
Peter. And there's the
That's the
poem.
whole
That's
poem.
it. And
Wow.
this is the whole poem. And I trademarked the words in 1981. And I fought off all the biggest companies in the world. I never used "Don't Quit," with the exception on as I ended every show with those lines, stick to the fight, right? And I entitled a lot of my books "Don't Quit," right? But I never put it on a product. And I thought, here I am at 62, right? Life is great. I have 4 terrific kids, putting fitness centers in elementary and middle school around this great, terrific country of ours. Enjoying my life. And another moment happens where I have a meeting with this guy named Danny Stepper, has a company called LA Libations. We're talking about entrepreneurs, right? Think about Silicon Valley for a second, where Silicon Valley, all these tech incubators. Well, this guy has a company called LA Libations. It's a beverage incubator. Now, I have invested in a lot of different things. I got pretty lucky investing in beverage. I was an early investor in a company called Zico Coconut Water. I had a nice exit there. If you're familiar with Avion Tequila, if you were a fan of the TV show Entourage, my friend Doug Ellen created that show. I had a home in Nantucket. Doug came to the house and, sitting around the pool, came up with this idea for a job for Turtle, one of the characters, about a tequila company. And it ended up being called Avion. I was just in the right place at the right time, sitting there, invested a very nice exit out of there. So people started thinking, hey, Jake knows what he's talking about in beverage. And I'm seeing all these business plans for startup beverage companies, Peter. And I bet on people. Like, I always wanted people to bet on me. And I had a couple of small investments helping out my brother-in-law's son, has a company in Austin, Texas called Big Swig, a sparkling water, and another spirit company out of Indianapolis called Blue Marble Cocktails. And I picked up the phone and had this meeting with this guy, Danny Stepper, right in El Segundo, which is close by you in Marina and close by me in the Palisades. Took a drive, sat down with him. I had the CEOs of each of those companies ready to make their pitch. And I talked to him first to kind of warm him up. Hey, nice to meet you. I have a sparkling water. He goes, not interested. Barrier to entry to that category is too easy. And I said, I have a spirits company. He goes, we don't invest in spirits. I go, well, nice to meet you, man. I figured, okay, he was a nice enough guy, but I had nothing else to talk to him about. I don't like wasting time. Didn't want to waste his. He said, no, let's hang out. So we sit down, we start talking, and I mentioned to him that I own the trademark to the words "Don't Quit." And he went nuts. He said, dude, are you familiar with the brands Ensure and Boost? Adult nutrition category. I go, I've seen the commercials. He goes, it's a category, it's a $3.5 billion a year category called adult nutrition. Have you ever seen the ingredient panel on those two products? They're crap. Chemical based. My mother, he said, I had no idea. I went to her house. In the back of the fridge was one of those bottles. I said, Mom, what are you doing drinking this? She goes, I don't know. I thought I'm supposed to have this stuff. And it got him on this journey about wanting to create a better for you product, right? How do you disrupt this adult nutrition category and do it in a way that's better for you? And he's telling me the story. He goes, we're working on formulations, Jake, but we haven't found the right brand to do it with. You're the guy. And I said, well, let's hang out. And just so you know, Peter, everything that I've ever done, it's always been my company. I don't endorse, I don't sponsor things. It's my company. So if my name is on it, my face is on it, the infomercials, books, television shows, it was all mine. I had partners, but it was me. I wasn't a paid guy to stand there and go, hey, drink this. So I started doing the homework. And we started saying, you know what? This is something interesting. I said, if we can create a clean label, I mean clean, no soy, no wheat, no corn, right? Make it great, gluten-free, no artificial flavors, no artificial sweeteners, kosher. But most importantly, it has to taste delicious. Because I've been drinking protein shakes, man. Protein shakes, I'm 13 years old. The stuff that tasted literally like it was cement. And today, they don't taste much better. And if you look at the ingredient panels on all of those, you can't pronounce 99.9% of the things. I said, if I'm going to put my name on something, it's got to be like the world doesn't need another nutrition shake. It just needs the best one. And we set forth on this journey 2.5 years ago, and we succeeded. Keurig Dr. Pepper, a CEO named Bob Gamcourt. You want to talk about CEOs who are entrepreneurs. This guy is incredible. We met, flew from New Jersey. He's a Jersey guy. We hit it off immediately with Danny Step, where I call D-Step. And entrepreneurship is about relationships. It's all about relationships. And we came up with our first daily complete nutrition shake line called Don't Quit. We have 4 original flavors, right? Chocolate, vanilla, chai tea, and orangesicle. Delicious, 26 vitamins and minerals. Now, the sugar in there is 14 grams of sugar. It's pure cane sugar, all natural, tastes delicious. It's convenient. People taking vitamins and supplements, they're expensive. They're expensive. This is affordable. Look, imagine opening up your fridge in the morning and seeing those words. Seeing those words. Come on now, Peter, right? This is our orangesicle, and there's chocolate. Wow. All you need to do is go to don'tquit.com right now and check them out. They're in supermarkets everywhere, but you can go to don'tquit.com. You see, now I got to start selling a little bit, man, because this is my life.
No, you're great.
This is my life, but you got to rock and roll. But here's the thing. You want more energy. You want to feel great about yourself. You want to be able to have that confidence. So it's all about the nutrients. And especially right now, think about this with what's going on in the country with this pandemic, right? People over the age of 50 years old, concerned about their health. They need to be healthy. Now, I don't want to say that don't quit, right, is the vaccine, but did I just say don't quit could be a vaccine? I don't know, Pete. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. But 26 vitamins and minerals. But the bottom, it tastes delicious. Have one before, right, in between breakfast and lunch, and one when in the afternoon when you're feeling you want something sweet. I have a crazy sweet tooth. This stuff is so delicious. Don't Quit is so delicious. Curbs your sweet tooth, and it's great for you. And we have a max version of 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and we're just kicking battissimo. We launched August 10th, and we've already sold out online of our Chocolate Max. We're getting it back in, but you can go to any Albertson, Safeway, Vons, soon to be Ralph's. Walmart will be next month. Kroger's, Fry's, everywhere about. It's really fun when you create something that's disruptive, and it's time where a category gets lazy, and you look and say, let's do something different. Let's do something great. I want people to feel good, have that bounce in their step. And it's not about being 50. It's about, if you want to, there's a lot of living left to do for every one of us. Be healthy. Don't quit. Don'tquit.com.
I love it. And I love the passion. This is what I tell people all the time. If you're passionate about something, you got to talk about it. And that's how business is done. You got to show for it. You got to love it. And I mean, this has been one of the fastest hours in my life. You're amazing. You're positive. You're happy. And I just have 2 more things, and then you got to go. I got to go. And I hope to see you in real life soon. Maybe do a workout together or something like that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I want to experience those 42 minutes because it reminds me of my dad. He's my sensei and karate coach, and he's like very meticulous. And I just love having those routines. So 2 things. Could you read us the full poem? And
yes.
And second, I have one final question. So let's do the question first, and then we'll end with you reading the poem. So the question is, for people listening to this show, what is the first thing they should do to get closer to their dreams right now?
I would say immediately write it down. Write the dream down. Because when you write something down, look, when you write something down, it becomes real and it becomes attainable. If all you're doing is thinking about something, it's all the way up here. It's too high. It's too big. It's too insane. Write it down. Put it next to your bed. And I don't mean text it down. I mean get a pen and get a piece of paper, old school this, guys, and write it down. And you might have to write it down a lot of times. But when you look at it and read it. And then when you read it, I want you to think about this. And I'm going to recite this poem because this is my life, okay? When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learn. And many a failure turn about when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when your hardest hit. It's when things seem worst that you must not quit. Don't quit.
Boom, mic drop. Jake Steinfeld, thank you so much. And I really appreciate your time. You're amazing. You're incredible. Anything we can do to help you market you, let me know. I'm a really fan of what you do and excited that you took the time. Other than that, I just want to say thank you for everybody that are still here listening, watching, because as you said earlier, 60 seconds nowadays is long format. And you've been here with us more than 1 hour. That means that you are fucking serious about your life. Now go write it down, take action, create a better life, and let us know what you're struggling with and what your success is. That will give us more fuel. I do all of this for free. I share it with the world. The only thing I expect from you is to show me some love. If you enjoy this conversation, share it with somebody that needs to hear the message. Also, give us a review so we can help more people, because nothing would make me happier than reaching my goal of helping at least 10 million people to achieve their dreams and transform their lives. That's it. We're out. Thanks again, Jake.
All right, buddy. Don't quit.